Hi, I'm just getting ready. I'm starting in a couple of minutes. Cause I want to share this to my own feed rather, or news feed. Oh, now I've lost my live stream. There it is. Getting ready. There it goes. Cool. So hopefully that went to my news feed and not the page's feed. I have my perched phone up a little bit higher today, so I have a little bit more playing space. Oh, I just want to open up her Reaper page. Okay. I also may not ramble as much today, as shocking as that is. I had awesome barbecue chicken and mashed potatoes last night, and I was really excited about the mashed potatoes. So when the plate got handed to me, I instantly went for the potatoes, not realizing how hot they still were. And thank God I didn't put a big thing of mashed potatoes in my mouth, but it burned the back of my throat so badly that my ears hurt. So I may not be super chatty because my throat is bothering me a little bit. I've been just trying to drink water, although I am having a cup of coffee. Let's see, Edna. Let's find her on the Reaper page. There she is. Just so we have her skew. Yep. Pull out the kitty cats. Not gonna paint the cats. If you saw Devin share the event, yeah, right? It's like, man, you think burning your tongue is bad? Try burning the back of your whole mouth down your throat. Good mashed potatoes, though. Totally worth it. Not gonna paint the cats today. If you saw Devin's Facebook post, in fact, I don't even plan on finishing Edna. This is probably gonna be like a multi-stream series. Plan on like just doing these let's paints, finding something crazy or cool. Like I know on Tuesday I want to go put in a Reaper order, and that Space Pug's gonna be on it. I wish I could share my screen so I'd show you guys what it looks like, because it's ridiculous. It's so dumb. But for now we'll just paint Edna. I'm gonna wet this towel. And I did do a prep video for her the other day where I cut her and the cats free from the spurs, and I got her in her base and I filled in the rest of the base with some green stuff, and then I primed her. So if you're interested in that, it's a good video for getting metal minis ready to paint. I guess it's 4. I can start. So, I've been thinking a lot about Edna today as I've been driving around the North Country. And I realized that my original paint scheme that I had in my head was very close to what my Nana looks like. And I don't know if I want to do that to my Nana. So I might have to change her color palette on the fly. Just because Nana doesn't deserve that. There she is, all primed. I think I'm definitely going to start with, with her night dress right here. Can do that as like a nice blue, night dress colors. I didn't pull out any of my colors, so I'm looking at my paint rack. Or actually, I can show this off. So, the other day, because I was stumped and I noticed that my paint rack was almost full. I did what a lot of people end up doing eventually, and I've made a swatch book with for my Reaper paints, not for all of my paints, but it's a really great tool. So this is hey Anthony and or Cynthia. So I took about 2 days to do this, which makes me feel like I don't have a lot of paint because my blue doesn't even fill up the page. And just what it is, it's the name of the paint and what it looks like dried on white paper. And I really like this tool, especially as my paint collection grows, and I won't be able to have all the paint laid out where I can see it. So, yeah, I know what we'll do. So I'm going to just leave this out. Because, you know, that's the problem with having a lot of paint. It's like, you have this idea of what you want to do, but you're like, oh man, what paint do I want to use for that? So I'm going to grab some Andoran blue. This is a Pathfinder series color, and actually Reaper's painter Anne, she's been starting to talk more about these Pathfinder colors. They're really nice. Thanks, Anthony. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll start with just a straight up set 4 drops of paint just for this first coat. And then I'll end up doing a second coat with a little bit of water in it. I want her to have kind of like a light blue nightgown. Doing some zen. Yeah, I need some zen. I was driving all morning. It was kind of a hard day, but it's okay. These are hard times. Oh, I meant to get my glasses out, because of course I can't use my magnifying glass because my phone is balanced on top of it. But, good news, talking about my phone balancing where it shouldn't be. This time I took the hard plastic case off of the phone. So now it's got a rubber grip on top of my magnifying glass, so it's going to sit there a lot easier. And I figured out how I can stream on Twitch, which I'm really excited about. I'm still going to do Facebook streams, so like I'll still do this Let's Paint series. And then I'll do like the Twitch one when I feel like it. And just kind of do like random projects that I'm working on. Like speed paints or just, I mean, I got a lot of projects. And only 2 things in my project pile are like secret projects because they're for popularity vote contests. And those are the only things I can't have on stream or else I'll get disqualified. But the Twitch handle, it's the same as everything else to do with painting. It's all on the road to Tiamat, which I am so grateful for that somebody else didn't just have that name. Or else I would have been in trouble. Cool, so I'll give that a second to dry. I'll talk about the other things that I'm thinking of. If you saw that prep video, you'll know that there was a moment in the prep video where I was talking about why, even when I don't need to prime the figures traditionally, I'll still put down a solid base color because it gives me a moment to really look over the mini very closely. And as I was saying that, I discovered that she's got 2 hair curlers in her hair. Only 2 though. So I'm still really excited about that. So give that another second to dry. I think I'm going to do her sweater. I'm going to give her like a pink sweater with yellow tassels. And then I'm thinking about like a dirty shift underneath, so like a little bit yellowed with the white. She's got one sock higher than the other, and she's got those old lady slippers on, so they just have the front bit. And I think I want to do a hot pink leopard print cane. I also said that this could also be Joe Exotic if he was a crazy cat lady. So have some fun with that. Okay, so now we'll just, I'm not going to add any more paint. I didn't use very much, so the one drop to whatever's left won't make too much of a difference. And basically, this second coat, it's just to kind of help solidify the color. So wherever the primer is starting to come back through, this will just give us a little bit more coverage of this first coat of blue. As you add water to it, and the paint gets thinner, it moves a lot nicer. So I get a lot more coverage out of it, but it's kind of a trade-off. So as you get more coverage, you get more opacity. So like you can see how even with that first coat, there's still some gray coming through from the primer underneath. That's okay though. If there's still just gray coming through, we're not going to worry about it because she's going to get layered pretty heavily, especially with this fabric. We got some shading and highlighting to do. And then some glazing. Yeah. I'm just gonna pull some of my next colors. I think I'm gonna shade with the ultramarine blue. It's a little dark, and it might be a little bit extreme, but if that's the case, what I'll do, I'll shade it first, before I do my highlighting. Usually I highlight then I shade because I get messy with my highlights, but I'll just do it the other way around because in that way I can keep glazing over this to make it a little bit lighter without really affecting my highlights. Sorry, I'm also drinking a cup of coffee. Okay. Hi, Abby. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call people out when I see that they're watching. I know I should wait until you guys comment. I just get really excited when I see you guys. Okay. So, that's dried. So I'm gonna use some ultramarine. This is an MSP color, not a Bones. You know, Bones colors have the SKU 9094, and then it's followed by its ID number. MSP does not have that. Pathfinder begins with an 8. Hi, Abby. See, I eventually waited after already calling you out. And for my shadows, I really like my shadow color to be thinner, just because you don't want that stark dark color in a line. You really want it to blend in. You can if it's not dark enough with the first application, you can always add more layers to bring that color up. But that's the real trick to getting a smooth blend. So I'm going to do my best to keep her on camera, but I have my face next to my phone, so she might go off. So we're just going to get in between her folds, preferably as deep as we can go. I'm not really going to talk too much about light source, because for her we're going to be more about layers and colors. So we'll just say she's in a bright room, she's lit from all sides, kind of a thing. I mean, look at her. She seems like the kind of lady who would have 60 cats and 200 lamps in her living room, right? Sorry, I'm doing my best to see what I'm doing. She's still on the camera, yep. And it's okay if it seems too dark for the first time. When you're painting, everybody will tell you, your mini's gonna go. Your mini's gonna hang out in the very ugly phase for a long time, for most of the process. And you just gotta keep pressing on. You have to have a plan. Or not, or don't have a plan and just see what happens. But having that plan really helps you push past the, oh my god, this looks terrible, before you're even done. Get under the cat. Get into all of these little recesses. Also, you want to make sure that you do underneath her sweater as well. And around the cat and her arms. Who sculpted Edna? Oh, Julie Guthrie? Yeah. Oh, see, I messed up a little bit right there. That's okay. That's okay. We're not gonna worry about that too much. She's still on camera? Sorry. I'll apologize for that over and over for the whole stream. And we're gonna get up here. What I really need to do is, like, I don't know, make a box or something for my hands. Use some rope, tie them off, I don't know. Something, I need something to help me stay in frame. Okay, so we're gonna clean up that one line of shading where my hand kind of went crazy by just taking some of our blue paint, mix the thinner one, and we're just gonna kind of correct it, make it more narrow. And voila, fixed. So what we'll do now, so like if you look at it like this, it's very stark. So what we'll do is I'm going to take the Andoran blue, I'm going to make a new mix with it. One, two, three, four. 4 drops of paint, and we're going to do 6 drops of water. Well, we'll start with 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we basically just want this to be dirty paint water. That's the kind of consistency that we're going for. Take another drop. Yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll go over the whole thing with this. And what this will do, it really helps pull the colors together. Especially once it dries. So we really need to make sure it gets down into the cracks, or else it's for nothing. You know, we might have to do a couple of layers of it too. But for right now, I'm only going to do one layer because we'll have to do this again with every layer of highlight that we do. So the shading areas are going to get hit multiple times. So I don't want to do it too many times right out of the gate, or else it could end up being that we lose it completely at some point. So we can see on the front, compared to the back where it's still sopping wet, that it is fainter now, and that's what we're going for. So that's going to keep happening once we start doing it over highlights. So for our highlights, I don't really see a middle color in my book that I want, so I'm going to make one. All I'm going to do, I'm going to take some bleached linen, and I'm going to mix that with, with her Andoran blue. Shake it up every time, you never know. And we'll start with two drops of the blue, and we'll match it with 2 drops of the white. Almost did too many. And we'll just start with 2 drops of water. When it comes to using whites, a white pigment has the best coverage. So when you need it to be thinner, you need to up your water ratio a little bit more than normal when you're using a white, just to kind of offset the coverage of the white pigment. So I'm pretty happy with that as our first highlight color. Take a sip of coffee, excuse me. I'm gonna have to be careful that I avoid that drop of white. But now I want to test out its consistency. Oh, that's great. It's very wet. It's very thin. That's good. And you know, if your paint's a little thick, your paint's a little thick. You just have to glaze some more later. Or you just live with it and you call it cell shading. So we're gonna just pick out the highest part of her wrinkles. I'm painting a little slow because I can't really see what I'm doing, but that's okay. And as we come down, we can fan out a little bit with this layer. So you don't really want it to be a straight line, you kind of want to have a little bit of flare. Oh, sorry. I don't know how to turn off notifications on my computer, but I guess I could have always just muted my computer. Oh, that white went into the color. Oh no. You know what? That's okay. I'll mix it and we'll save it for the next highlight. I'm just gonna get that whole drop in there. Boo. This is why I like the Well palette so much, because even though I just ruined the color that we were using, I can make it easy enough again and not worry about it. If I was using a wet palette, I would have to make sure that I grab the right amount of each color every time and add the same amount of water to it every time. But with the Well palette, I can just do this. Because I remember what I did, because it was very simple. It was 2, 2, and 2. And that's not to narc on wet palettes, because, I mean, there are so many amazing painters who use a wet palette and they get amazing results. And there's things that my Well palette can't do that a wet palette can do. It's just, this is my preferred tool. I tried a wet palette and I didn't like it because I'm just somebody who needs to have that kind of consistency every time as a painter. So back to what we were doing, which is highlighting. And don't go and make the flare at every opportunity. Do what the fabric is naturally doing. So like this edge that I just did, it is flaring into a panel. So I'm going to take my highlight from here. I'm just going to bring it down. Like that. How's everyone's holiday weekend going? It's like the best weather we've had on Memorial Day in a long time, I feel like. And of course, we can't really be together to enjoy it. But you know, there's more important things. And it's for a good reason. I just have to make sure that I'm grabbing the right color from the palette, because I'm used to working down the row. I got a little bit too much paint on my brush. That's okay. This is also something, I don't know if I'm making it look easy or not, because to me, I'm actually doing a very sloppy job. This isn't very neat or clean. But just doing this, like highlighting fabric, lining the scales on a dragon, that is such a great way to build up brush control. And really, 90 not 90, well, let's say 70% of being a good painter is brush control, and building up brush control is what takes time. And honestly, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I've got shaky hands. And you know, if you mess up a little bit, or if it's a little bit too messy, like right here, you just take that color and you go back over the paint. It's a light colored paint, so it's easy to erase. With fabric, you always kind of want to go, I always paint downwards, because when I paint with my thinner paints, I kind of get like a sudden burst of brightness towards the end of the stroke. So I always want that to be down towards the bottom of the fabric rather than up top where it should be darker. So that's our first round of highlight. We will do another glaze over it. Is it still looking? I have to check it every time because it's not that it's hot in here, but it's warm. It's a warm day. The breeze is great. It's pretty comfortable, but because I'm not filling up my wells, they will start to dry out rather quickly. And then we're just going to do this again. Just go right back on over. Oh God, this one. Sometimes I've been painting larger stuff lately, so usually every time I do get back to a glazing stage, I just remake the glaze, and now I have to remember which one is my glaze and which one is my shadow, because I don't want to accidentally grab that. Oh God, I almost put that in my coffee. Oh, I'm tired. I've only had 1 cup of coffee so far today, because I got right up and I went right out this morning, and I only took a cup of coffee with me, and I usually have 3 in the morning. So we'll give that a second to dry. I'm looking at it and I don't know, I might want to do another layer of that glaze. Although some spots look great. Some spots, like right here, not so much, so I'll do some spot glazing. Which is just as it sounds. I'm just picking out certain areas and adding more layer to it. Just because this looks great. As a first go. For my first round of highlight. But back here, you could kind of tell the brush was starting to gum up. I might have been talking at this point because this line is all over the place. this isn't so bad right here. It's really just this spot right here that I think I want to glaze again. Well, if that's the case. Yeah, you know what? I'll just start the next highlight. I'll see how that's doing. Mix it up. This is actually very close to the color that I was thinking of using anyway. So that's kind of cool that her whole dress is just going to be these two colors. So this time we want to do our best to just keep this highlight at the highest point of the wrinkle or the fold. With a little bit of flare where necessary. You know, I don't want Edna to be dirty. Because not all of us cat ladies are dirty. You know, you don't know what Edna's going through and why she has so many cats. And 8's not that many cats. Let's be real here, right? Yeah, I messed up right there. That's okay. We'll fix it. And at this point, if I needed to fix, like if I went into a shaded area by accident, I would water my shadow color down quite a bit more and do just a couple of layers. You should only really need a couple of layers to fix it because it's such a light color. Yeah, and actually looking at it, I might have to bring some of the shading back. Her skirt flares up a little bit right here, so we're gonna give it a little bit more of a highlight. The nice thing is, because all of these highlight layers are made from the Andoran blue, when I glaze over with just a pure Andoran blue, that helps it out even more. It's even better when you have at least some of that color that you're glazing with in your highlights to help them blend in. Makes the paint very happy. This whole spot of her dress got really messy. That's okay. I'm also using the side of my brush for this rather than painting straight down with the point. This is a lot better for the health of your brush. Not that this is a great brush to begin with. This is another hobby brush. All my brushes are hobby brushes. But just painting with the side of the point rather than painting straight down like this, that's really good for your brush. That'll help really protect that point. Yeah, I've had this brush for a while now. Get this last wrinkle. There. So I think what I'm gonna do before I glaze again, I'm gonna just bring back some of the shading, because I noticed that I was already starting to lose a little bit too much. So I'm gonna just check out how our shadow color is doing. Yeah, it needs a little bit more water. So we'll add another drop of water or two to it. Yeah, that's what we want. We want it to be thinner this time because it needs to kind of blend in with the bit of shading that's already been glazed over. So this will help it out. Did I wash that brush? I can't remember. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm using a wet paper towel to run my brush over after I run it in the water. That's also pretty good. That's also really nice for your brush too. That'll make it pretty happy. Especially your brushes with points. It also helps pull paint out of the ferrule. So we're just gonna get here again. That one's okay. Yeah, I noticed it right here too, needed it. She's a little messy for me. It's because I'm talking. I'm not used to talking while I paint. I'm actually gonna need to bring this all the way down for that fix. And then we'll probably have to do some spot glazing on it. But so now let's do a layer of glaze and see what we get from that. And I mean, you can glaze as many times as you need to get it to look right. You're never gonna get the level of layering you want with just one layer of glaze. Unless your glaze is too thick or you're doing like 60 layers of paint and you only need one layer of glaze in between each one. Doing it again, getting confused. All right. So we'll let that dry. It's definitely gonna want another layer, which is fine. That's what I expected from it. Especially because we were doing that final highlight. It's just so sharp to the top of the wrinkles. So I'm gonna take a quick sip of my coffee. Oh, my throat hurts. You don't really want to wet glaze on wet glaze, because then you're just swishing wet water all over the place and it's not doing what it needs to do. You can't wet blend glazes. they're too broken. Alright, so I'm just going to stir it back up. You always want to make sure, if you stop using a pot of paint, a well of paint, for any length of time, that you always just kind of give it a swirl. You can actually see here in these two guys, they've fallen out of solution. This one's the best example. You can see this dark ring here, and then this weird waxy surface. That's just the paint having fallen out, but if I were to shake it to give it a stir again, that color, it comes right back. And it's just because when you add water, it starts to make the pigment separate from the base of the acrylic. But these are designed to actually be used with water, so they're a bit more resilient. But I mean, you leave them alone, and it's just like, that's why we have to shake our paints, because they fall out of solution. They fall out of solution after an hour, and you shake it to get it back into solution. So another layer. And really, this technique is great. It is a very nice and easy technique for beginners. All it does is require a little bit of thinking and a little bit of patience. But it gives you some pretty top-notch looking results. It's not very tabletop friendly in terms of how fast you can whip it out, and like from paint to table. But because I mean, no, I don't really have a timer, do I? I start at 4. We've been streaming for 45 minutes, so her skirt took me 45 minutes worth of layering. But look at what our next layer of glaze has done. I hold it away from the camera a little bit. You can see now that this is starting to look much more natural. I'm still going to do one more, I think. I'm going to add one more drop of water, though, and make this one thinner. And we're going to do it just one more time. And then I'll be happy. Probably. Yeah. Just let it get back into focus. How's the focus been? I hope it hasn't been too blurry. I have an idea of what I'm going to do going forward. I'm an idiot. I really am. When I realized that my computer wasn't up to snuff for streaming, but my phone was, I was like, well, I guess that's just what I'll do, because I don't want to lose everything on my computer and have to transfer it all to another machine and blah, blah, blah. I was thinking like in terms that I was going to have to get rid of my laptop, which is why I'm an idiot, because I'll just get like maybe a secondhand desktop or something. Thanks, cat. And I'll go more for like a secondhand higher end desktop tower, and I'll just use that for streaming. And like I'll set it up at my workstation, like put the internet on it. I mean, that's what you do with computers, right? You put the internet on them. And we'll do it that way. And then maybe I can get proper cameras and I can get a machine that can stream. So, she's still a little wet, so she's shiny. So we'll give her a second to dry. Oh, I have to take my glasses off. My eyes are getting tired. I shouldn't complain. My friend Marcus is streaming on Twitch right now, and he's doing a 24-hour stream, and he's down to like his last 2.5 hours of the stream. So I've only just been driving around and painting. But we can see here how great this looks. The camera is actually picking out more than the eye is. Like, I'm looking at her through the camera and I'm like, oh god, what is going on right here? And then I look at her around the camera and I'm like, oh, that's not really there. It's just picking it out. But there's our baby blue shift. It's not as baby blue as I had wanted it to be. I could have started with some white in the paint first to get it more where I wanted. But you know what? We'll just see how the rest of the mini goes. What I can do towards the end is I can actually glaze with the second highlight a little bit to help brighten, like, gray out that color a little bit. So, what to do next on her? Because we've only been going for 50 minutes. What color am I going to paint the cats? So, where are the cats? Here are the cats. There are a grand total of... Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cats. I was thinking I was gonna model some of the cats after my own cats, so I'd do Kit Kat, Cotton, Abby, Luna, Milo, and then a white and black spotted cat for my childhood cat, Kitster, who I don't have any photos of, but I remember he was a white and black cat, and he had kind of like black banding up his tail. So that's, let's count. Luna, Abby, Milo, Kit Kat, Cotton, Kitster. So that's 6. So that's 6 out of 7 cats. And then I don't know what I'll do with the 7th cat, but I'll figure it out. But I'm not going to really do the cats today. I didn't even bother priming them in the prep video the other day. But it is worth mentioning that only 2 of them are long-haired and the rest are short-haired. Oh god, they're so little. I'm just gonna drop it right into the paint. Oh good, I didn't. No blue cats. Although I could have a blue cat and say it's Happy from Fairy Tale. Can I have a contest for the 7th? Sure. Everybody can send me their cat photos and I'll pick one. And then if I pick your cat, I'm going to ask you to take some very weird angled photos of your cat. So be prepared for that if you decide to enter. So what should we do next on Miss Edna? Maybe some skin tone. I feel like this is a good time to do some skin tone. So I don't really feel like doing her sweater yet. So I just finished her skirt. So Miss Edna is on the older side. She's a lonely old lady with her cats. So we'll give her, not youthful flesh. Let's consult the book, because I'm actually a little stumped with how I want to do her skin tone. So we need a base. Do I have a second page? I do. Caucasian flesh looks pretty good, I think. Yeah, we'll base her skin tone in the Caucasian flesh. I just now have to find it on my rack. Oh, where is it? I know it's here somewhere because it's in the book. Let's see, tan highlight, tan leather, tan shadow, gnome, suntan, barbarian, youthful, pale, scholar, Caucasian. There it is. Oop. It got clogged and then it all came out, so we'll just work with it. I'm just gonna put a drop of water because that was a lot of paint. I'm actually gonna pull out a different brush. It really doesn't do anything, does it, when I turn that light on? Oh well. So we're just gonna go over her whole face, even her eyes. And just get this base on. We'll probably have to do 2 layers because I added water to it. God, that's drying fast. It is really warm in here. It's really cold last night though, wasn't it? No, it's it's my TV remote. I don't actually have a computer monitor connected to my laptop. It's a small TV, and this is its remote. So we're gonna make her quite pale, I think. You know, she doesn't go outside too much. She just kind of stays in with her cats. She only comes out to yell at the kids when they're in her yard. It's okay. This color is so light that if it gets onto any other area that we don't want it, it's fine to just ignore it. It'll get covered. And it won't affect anything. Oh God. Can you guys see her face? All the detail just started to pop on her face. Oh man, what a great mini. This is so great. We'll get her hands too. The nice thing is that I don't have to worry about writing my recipes down. In case like I want to save this part of her leg for later, I can just come back and listen to what I did. I won't worry too much about getting color on the cat in her hand, because we're going to. That's why I want to do her hand before the cat, just because her fingers are very thin, and it'll be easier to get them now when it doesn't really matter that I get the colors all over the cat. Same thing with the cane, it's okay. You know, the more I think about it, the more I'm falling in love with the idea of a hot pink leopard print cane. So they don't really, oh, I do have a hot pink. Yeah, I could do hot pink. So now this part, we want to be careful getting this part of her leg that's exposed. Because we want to believe that that nightgown is done. So we don't want to have to touch it up again. So I'd rather get it on the sock that's coming down than on there. It doesn't really help though that my brush is splitting as I try to do this. You gotta get over to Michael's and get another pack of these brushes. They did get me through lockdown though, so I was pretty impressed with that, considering I was using them every day. There we go. So there's our base. And with flesh, flesh is very different than whatever else you'll be painting. You kind of want to start in a mid-range of what you want to do, because our skin's not just highlights. It's not shadow, highlight, and mid-range. It's one color, then another color, all kind of mixed in together. So what I'll do is, now I'm going to take a rosier color to kind of bring out her nose and her cheeks and her hands a little bit. And then I'll go over it with a darker color to kind of like shade in around her. But we want to be very careful that she doesn't turn into a clown. So I'm going to use Pale Flesh. It's very pinky. And it's much lighter than this, so we'll see what happens. Uh-oh, getting a clog. 3. Got a paint clog. Got a paint clog on the live stream. Which actually happened the other day. I'm gonna take my handy dandy paper clip. Oh yeah, there we go. We're in. And one more drop of paint. So now I'll use my finer splitting brush. I'm going to try to use this brush. I might have to switch to one of my better brushes. There. Pick out her cheeks, under the eyes. Get her chin. So I'm looking at this and I'm a little disappointed. I wanted this to be a little bit pinkier. So what I might do is mix in an actual pink, some Monster Maw. Let's just see what happens. This is also plugged. This is plugged because it dried over. Nope, it's just plugged. All the action shots today. Woo. There we go. Might be a little bit too pink, but we're definitely on the right track. Just added in 2 more drops of the Pale Flesh color. I'm just trying to make a rosy color. Yeah, that's what we want. I'm gonna add some water. Let's do just one more. Nope, that's bleach linen. One more set of 2. To make it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I like that. The Reaper actually does have a rosy flesh paint. I just don't have it. It's on the list. There's a lot of paint on the list. So I'm going to go back over those original spots. With our new pinky mix. Get her nose. Your chin. Yeah. And then we're gonna get her hands a little bit with it too. Just like kind of how we were doing the wrinkles in her fabric earlier. Just gonna pick out the raised areas in her hand. Ooh, you know what I forgot to do again? I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, so hopefully nobody calls me. Just not bring out that bit of jawline, but I want to get this neck wrinkle. Yeah. I know she looks a little odd. And flesh is always going to look a little weird when you're doing it. It's going to look very clowny as you're laying down your layers. But just like with the fabric, which looked very odd, it looked very stark before we really started to blend it, the flesh will do the same thing. So don't worry about that. Just keep pressing on. So now I think I'm going to use hand highlight. We're going to use this one for our shadowy areas on her face. We don't want to go crazy because this is where faces are made and destroyed, is in the shading and the highlighting. So we want to actually make sure our shadow paint is very thin. Because if you make that too stark and it's not naturally kind of blending in with everything else, you're going to have a clown. You're going to have the Joker, basically. So I'm going to use 3 drops of paint, and it's going to be very annoying to work with. I will warn everybody right now, when you make your paint thin for such a small area, it just kind of becomes a real nightmare and doesn't want to cooperate. I can't see anything that I'm doing with these glasses in that drawer. There's the one I want. Reaper brush. Love them. These are my better brushes because this is about as good as I'll go. I don't have any sable brushes or anything like that. So we want to get underneath her cheekbone. Is she on the stream? Yeah. Just a little bit of a dab there. You know, I'm going to just turn this light down a little bit because it's really washing her out. That seems to be a happy medium. I still need to see. And then I'm actually going to do her whole eye region with the shading color. So if you've ever taken like stage makeup, you'll understand this technique more than others about what we're doing. Because when it comes to layering for faces, you're essentially doing the same thing that you do to your own face when you put on stage makeup. You're kind of accentuating everything so that it can be read at a distance. That's just what we're doing here. We're helping out depressions and rises in the face so that because of how small this is, we're looking at it from a distance. Mouth. Yeah, and you see what I mean? This paint is so thin, it almost looks like it's not even staying on the brush, just because it's almost not. Filling right there. And then because she's old, we're also going to do around the jowls. Right there. And then we want to make sure we get her neck. Oh, my hand's really starting to shake. And then we're gonna get in her hands a little bit. And we're actually gonna take this color and go over the highlights that we did on her hand. Just to kind of help that peachiness blend in. Because our hands are actually darker than our faces for the most part. Our skin's not just one consistent shade of color throughout. It's all different blotches. I mean, nobody has perfect skin, and the people who do are using makeup or are aliens. There, I said it. People with perfect skins are aliens. And then we'll do that same thing with her leg. Yeah. Can you guys see that at all? What we've done. So you can see right now, she looks a little bit strange because she's got these very light pink spots sticking out on her face. Don't worry, we're going to do what we just did with the fabric, and I'm actually going to remix rather than just add water. So we're going to grab our Caucasian flesh again. We're going to do 5 drops of water. My glazes, they always tend to be between 4 and 6 drops of water. This one I could have probably just gotten away with 4. No, that's good. That's good. And just really the same thing that we did last time. We're just going to go over everything with our dirty paint water that we made. Don't actually go over with your dirty paint water. Don't take me out of context when I say that. You will not get good results. And then what we want to do, we want to dab off, we want to dab off the brush and just pick the glaze out of the crevices where it's pooling. You really don't want to let pools of the glaze dry. Because it's been knocked out of solution, it's going to dry in rings, and you do not want that. It's going to look weird. So now we're going to go again. This might actually be a little bit too thin. So we might have to remix this glaze and only use 4 drops of water, and that's okay. You know, you never get it right the first time unless you're following a recipe that you've written and you're painting the same thing over and over. So it's always okay if the mini is just a lot of trial and error. You'll notice that I'm only doing her face because her hands and her leg really tied in well together. They don't actually need this. I'm quite happy with their coloring. I'm just trying to mask her pink highlight a little bit. So I'm going to remix this. And waste some paint and remix. Whoop. I'm going to drop my paint. I don't know where the cap was on. So that's 4, and we're just going to do a 1-to-1, so 4 drops of water. Yeah. So we'll try that. Really, I could have kept using this one, because I can see it starting to work, but it's going to take like 6 or 7 layers to get what I want. And that's just more opportunities for me to miss a pooled glaze puddle and let it dry weird right on her face. And her face is everything. I mean, there's so much expression in this woman's face. She's got this very incredulous look on her face, and I love it. I really want to know what the story is behind why they sculpted this model. If she's based off of somebody in the real world, or if she's really just an idea. So there. That one glaze was actually all that we needed. So there's Edna's base facial and hand and leg. And it actually looks quite nice. It is quite washed out on this. I'll take a photo of our progress with her. So I'm not going to do her eyes yet. I generally do eyes last. So you can see where I missed a big spot that didn't get any priming. So I think we'll actually just call that all good there, since there's really nobody watching. I've got 4 people watching, yeah. Feel free to drop a comment if you want me to keep going. I can start to move on to her sweater, or we can save it for next time. It's up to you guys. And I'm not going to be painting her on Twitch. She is specifically for Facebook, for this Let's Paint series. Over on Twitch, I'm going to be working on my Lion Man, which is another Reaper mini. But yeah, we'll just end it for now. So there she is. There's Edna. Next time, we'll do her sweater. We'll get her sweater done. Maybe we'll get to her hair or her cane. Either or, now that her hand is painted. Maybe I'll do her sweater first because her cane gets pretty close to it. And one of them, I want to be able to paint fine. Oh, you know what? I might have to pick a different color for the sweater if I want the cane to be hot pink, because I was thinking pink with yellow edging. I'll think on it. Alright, thanks for watching, everybody. See y'all later.